with Tom Ullrich, the CEO of Aston Bay Holdings. Tom, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Now, talk to us about Aston Bay's project portfolio. Copper-zinc plays in North America.
That's right. Well, our main asset is located in Nunavut.
Okay.
Essentially, we're looking for those Congo-style copper and zinc deposits, but in a bit of a better jurisdiction in Canada, we think. Obviously, a bit of a challenge with the weather, but that's why the opportunity's there, and we're very happy to be operating up there, doing exploration, trying to make that discovery of a large, high-grade copper and zinc deposit. And we've been lucky enough to attract Dr. David Broughton, who you may know from Ivanhoe Mines, the former VPX there. The guy who found Kamoa and Kakula on that discovery team. We've been attracted to our company and our project really because he sees the same kind of discovery potential, for something big, like he found in the Congo, but in Canada. So very happy to have that project, and we did drill this summer. A very difficult summer weather-wise. It was actually they call it the worst summer on record in memory up there. It was a very, very cold and very difficult for our supply chain to give us, essentially keep our camp supplied with the equipment and the supplies we need to drill effectively. So we didn't get as many meters drilled as we really wanted, but we did get going down that, the exploration pathway of essentially testing several of the targets that Dave Broughton had come up with, different ideas of what copper and zinc might look like, in our data, and then go out and drill those ideas, those targets, and see what works.
And what were they, despite the fact that you weren't able to drill as many meters as you hoped, what were the results telling you about what you had thought about the project and what you see in terms of potential?
Yeah, well, we were successful at finding both copper and zinc with the drill, and that's actually a great advance, for our project. Now we know we have a much better idea of what does copper and zinc actually look like within our data. So now what we can do is interrogate our data again. This is what we normally would have done at the latter portion of our drill season, but we just ran out of summer. Yeah. But the idea is, interrogate our data again and find that same signature within the data, but this, where it's the largest and the nearest to the surface. Those are the targets that you really want to drill, because those are the ones that have that potential to become those large deposits again that would be of interest down the road to a mining company.
Of course.
Yeah.
And recently, you've made an acquisition. Talk to us about that and how it affects the company's strategy.
Yeah, this is absolutely fantastic acquisition for Aston Bay. I've been lucky enough to get together with Don Taylor. Don is the former CEO and COO of Arizona Mining. He's the guy who found the Taylor deposit. Arizona was just purchased this past summer by South 32 for $1.4 billion US. A great win for the shareholders there. Don, we love having these proven mine finders, on our team. We've been lucky enough to attract him and his other project. Essentially, he had a privately held company that he had invested in, looking for really base metals in Virginia. Now, I know Virginia is not a hotspot, considered a hotspot on people's radar on the exploration front. And really, I think the reason for that is there's a very strong soil profile developed in that area. So there's very little outcrop, and that makes exploration a bit difficult. But what Don has been doing really since the 90s, when he started working initially with BHP and then on through to his own private company, was to essentially gather all that data, the geophysics, the geochemistry, everything, the geology, everything that's required to put that all together, essentially see through that veil of the soils and the metamorphism there to really get those targets that allow us to, that we want to drill right now. And so certainly for Aston Bay, I think an absolutely fantastic addition to us. It certainly solves in many ways our seasonality problem. When we have just had the one asset, we can only operate, in Nunavut for about 2.5 months out of the year. So as a company, you suffer from that. Essentially, you end up, you're doing one money raise, one financing a year. You spend it all once, on one drill program, and then you have one news release of any real significance every year. So you do have people that play that a bit like a lottery ticket, and so you do suffer some selling, when your press releases come out. But with this new asset, we can drill year round. We're in Virginia. Virginia's a great state because it's what they call a fee simple jurisdiction. If you have an agreement with the private landowner, no permitting is required for exploration or drilling. We can go hit the ground right away and start drilling. And of course, the project with the pedigree of Don Taylor, and Don Taylor coming on our board, on our advisory board to direct the exploration for us here. The ability to bring on projects that are at what we think are the perfect stage of development, essentially where all that heavy lifting has been done to get to that point where you want to start drilling to make a discovery, because that's where we want to operate. We want to be in that spot where we potentially add significant value to the company by making an exploration discovery. That's where we want to play, right?
Yeah.
And so, and of course it's risky, but then the way we mitigate those risks is you have guys on your team like Don Taylor and Dave Broughton to direct your exploration. These guys have done it before. We really hope they can, as a team together now, we can do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you certainly have the expertise. Going forward then into 2019 now, you've got 2 assets on the portfolio. So what's the plan then for 2018 or 2019, I should say?
In the near term, obviously we can't do any drilling up in Nunavut right now. It's 24-hour darkness, but luckily we can do drilling down in Virginia, and that's our plan. We'd like to drill this winter in Virginia. Great news for us there is that the drill costs are much cheaper. Okay. And again, since we can operate year-round, we can get in there, perhaps do a small financing to pick up a bit more money to do this, to do a program, drill a few thousand meters. Essentially Don's favorite targets. He's been thinking about this for 10 years, eager to drill these things, so we have high hopes, obviously. But get those results, and then again this winter, and then see where we go from there, and then just raise money essentially on the back of that, perhaps a bit lower cost of capital to us at Aston Bay, and continue exploration in Virginia, and also raise the money required for a program next summer up in Nunavut.
It's an exciting time for the company. Tom, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you.